Do you find yourself spreading yourself too thin, doing too many things at once, trying to keep all the balls in the air? If so, this might be due to anxiety and intolerance of uncertainty. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how intolerance of uncertainty pushes you to try and do too much and what you can do about it. Hi everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how trying to do too many things at once or spreading yourself too thin fuels excessive anxiety and worry. It may not seem like it on the surface, but spreading yourself too thin is actually a form of intolerance of uncertainty, and it may be one of the things that you're doing that is unwittingly causing you to worry excessively. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about fear of missing out. Now, you've probably heard of the expression FOMO, or fear of missing out. It's the idea that you don't want to miss out on any incredible or awesome opportunities or events in life. And so I want to try and do as much as I can to make sure that I don't have any regrets. But have you thought about how this might relate to worry and anxiety? Well, trying to do too much, spreading yourself out really thinly, this fear of missing out, these are all examples of intolerance of uncertainty. So how exactly does spreading yourself out too thin or trying to do too many things at once, how exactly does this relate to intolerance of uncertainty? Well, the idea is that I don't want to miss out on any opportunities that life might present. So what I try to do is to keep all of my options open as long as possible, just in case something really incredible comes up. And if it does, I'll have the opportunity to take advantage of it. And as a result, what ends up happening is I have my hands in all sorts of pots all at the same time, trying to make sure that I'm keeping all of the potential doors of opportunity open, just in case something wonderful presents itself. If I'm a student in school, I might take as many general studies courses as long as I can so that I have the opportunity to transfer into as many future programs as possible. If I'm at work, I'll say yes to working on as many different projects as I can, just in case one of those projects is a real success. I want to make sure that I'm available to be a part of that as well. So what ends up happening is that I don't want to say no to any opportunities. And so I say yes to as many opportunities as possible. After all, isn't keeping my options open a good thing? Well, the answer to that question is no, not really. Keeping all of your available options open as long as possible would work fine if you had unlimited resources, unlimited time, and unlimited energy. But we don't have unlimited resources, time, or energy. What we can do is finite. At some point, we have to say no to some opportunities, and what that means is we run the risk of missing out on really great opportunities that could have been. This is where intolerance of uncertainty comes in. The intolerance of uncertainty will tell me that if I say no to this potential opportunity, then it's going to be a tremendous lost opportunity that I will regret for the rest of my life. And that's a bit of a scary thought, which makes it really tempting to want to keep those opportunities and options open as long as you can. But you can probably also see the problem with this, in that if you have to keep all of your options open for everything, you're not going to be able to commit to anything. And so you only ever get partially invested in anything that you do. You end up becoming a generalist, knowing a little bit about a lot of stuff, but not really knowing a lot about anything in particular. It's also important to recognize that this fear of missing out, spreading myself too thin, trying to do too many things at once, it's all based on the assumption that I'm going to say no to something, and that is going to be the one thing that I should have never said no to. Now, you can probably already recognize that at a logical level, this may not be the case. Sometimes saying no to something can be really good because it frees you up to spend more time focusing on other things that are more relevant to what you want in your life. The problem is, you can never know with certainty what to say no to, and this is where intolerance of uncertainty grabs a hold of you. But the question comes up, how do I know if I'm spreading myself too thin because of intolerance of uncertainty versus spreading myself too thin because I just have too much going on in my life? Now, the key to answering this question is to think about what is the motivation for you to spread yourself so thin. If, for example, you find yourself doing too many things at once, spreading yourself too thin because you're overworked, you have too many responsibilities going on in your life, between balancing work, taking care of the home, raising kids, etc., etc. This isn't necessarily an example of intolerance of uncertainty. In this example, you're not spreading yourself too thin because you're fearful of missing out on anything or fearful of saying no and then regretting it. You're being spread too thin because you have far too much on your plate. But imagine a scenario in which I'm a student at university taking a full course load plus additional courses that might be prerequisites for different programs I've thought about. While at the same time, I'm playing on the basketball team in case there's an opportunity to get an athletic scholarship, while at the same time being on the boards of different clubs at the university to try and increase my social connections regarding possible career opportunities after I graduate. In this example, part of what I'm doing with all of these extra things that I'm taking on is trying to eliminate uncertainty about potential lost opportunities. But all I'm really doing is just piling thing upon thing upon thing. And it's not sustainable and it's not realistic. So what can you do if you find that you're spreading yourself too thin, trying to do too many things at once due to fear of potentially missing out on something? What can you do to change this? Well, the first step is to recognize what you're doing and to recognize that you're not overworked because you have too many things going on, but that you're overworked because you're choosing to take on so much responsibility, so many other things, because you don't want to miss out on anything. And once you recognize that it's this fear of missing out that's driving this spreading yourself too thin, the idea is to engage in some behavioral experiments in which you say no to some potential opportunities. Now, the thing is, you may never know if you said no to an opportunity that may have turned out to be something incredible. But a big part of this is tolerating the uncertainty of that and focusing your efforts on fewer things that you can more deeply commit to or invest in. You can also do this by taking advantage of naturally occurring opportunities to tolerate uncertainty on a day-to-day basis. One of the things I often encourage my clients to do is to imagine the following question tattooed to the frontal lobe of their brain. And the question is, if I were more tolerant of uncertainty, what would I do in this situation? Having this question at the forefront of your mind gives you an opportunity to think about some of the decisions that you're making and what's motivating those decisions. If I were more tolerant of uncertainty, would I say yes to volunteer on that additional project at work, or would I decline because I just have too many things going on right now? If I were more tolerant of uncertainty, would I stay in a general stream of study as long as I can, or would I commit to trying to get into this one program that really interests me? By thinking this way, and by sometimes saying no to taking on additional tasks, even though they may come with potential opportunities, what you're doing is you're tolerating uncertainty, and you're not living your life constantly trying to avoid a fear of missing out, and thereby never actually committing to something and always feeling like you're worn out because you're spread so thin. So I hope that helps explain the relationship between fear of missing out, spreading yourself too thin, and intolerance of uncertainty. I hope it gives you a better sense of how to recognize when you're trying to do too many things at once out of fear of missing out, and how by sometimes saying no and declining potential opportunities, how this can actually lead to less stress, anxiety, and worry in life. I'd love to hear your thoughts or ideas or questions about this, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.